In this video, we're going to be discussing how to navigate through an ECH211 Inventus controller. This is also the remote display. Unfortunately for this controller, the main two buttons are pretty worn out because this is an older unit. So I'm going to be, for this purposes, using the remote display to do most of the demonstration for this. The big differences between these two is that there's 4 buttons on the remote and there's only 2 on the main control. The sequence is going to be the same no matter which one you're using, except for the up and down arrow and the on, off, and mode are built into each other. So the down arrow is also the on and off. The mode and up arrow are also 1. Okay, well, to begin, we can talk about how to turn on the chiller. So right now the chiller's in the off position and all you see is a little decimal place on both the units. What you're going to do is hold down the on and off button for roughly 3 seconds or so until the unit turns on. At this point, now it's showing what the output temperature of the glycol is. Now, before I go any farther into this, I want to show one more situation. As you can see on the display, it shows that the light is lit up underneath the snowflake. Over here, there's a pump, and it says 1 next to it, and that's lit up. And we just heard the compressor kick on. So the compressor kicks on, that's number 2. If you come down here to this controller, that's also the same situation, where the 1 is lit up, and the number 2 is blinking, showing that it's also running. And then we had the light underneath the snowflake there. Now what happens with the mode button? If you go up to a chiller, and we get this all the time, a technician will call us and say, hey, there's something going on with the controller, the chiller's not running, it's showing a display on the screen, but none of the lights are indicating on either unit, and the chiller's not running. Unfortunately, with these original design, these ECH211s, this mode button is actually still enabled, and this all it does is switch between cooling and heating. Obviously, a chiller doesn't require any sorts of heating, so when you turn it to the heat mode, it just shuts off. It still shows the display, it just doesn't do anything. So if you walk up to a chiller and you see the display is running, there's no alarms, and the chiller's not running, just hit the mode button 1 time, and the unit's going to turn back on. Just want to make sure that the light indicator is showing that it's in the snowflake mode or the cooling mode. Okay, with that being said, we can go ahead and start figuring out what the set point is on this. With this older unit here, what you're going to want to do is push the on, off, and the mode button together 3 times in a row for roughly 1 second each time. What we're going to want to see after you press this the first time is you're going to see something that says set. You're going to press it again and it's going to say cool. And you're going to press it one last time and you're going to display the what the current set point is. If you hit these and you don't get those sequence of set, cool, and then the set point, just repeat it until you do. So go ahead and push the on, off, and the mode button or the up and down arrow on the main display. Okay, see set. Now we got cool, C-O-O. And one more time. And now we're at 15. 15 degrees is what I currently have this set point set at. And we can prove that that is a set point as you are able to adjust it. If adjustments are required, you're going to want to hit the on-off button again to save that. And then to get out of this mode, you're going to hit the mode on and off button again, for this time for 3 times in a row, but each time for a minimum of 2 seconds. We're then going to see cool, showing that we did it correctly. Hold it again for roughly 2 seconds. We're going to see it go to set. One more time. And now we're back at the main page. Okay, now that we have this, we figured out how to do the control on this, what happens when we get into an alarm state? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to simulate an alarm real quick here by pulling one of the safety wires. Okay, so this chiller is going to alarm here in a second. Okay, here it is. The E41 alarm. This is going to be for a low water level. And when this happens, you're going to get a flashing alarm. And it's going to be an E series. What you can do here is if you come up to the chiller, you're going to want to document what it's flashing. As you can click up and down, it does nothing. The one thing you don't want to do is hit the on-off button or the down arrow on the main controller. We want to see if there's potentially any other errors on top of this one that might be happening in sequence with this error. So what you're going to want to do is hold the mode and on-off button, push them together for 1 second, and release, and you're going to see set. That's actually the set point we just talked about a minute ago. We're going to scroll down until we get to error, ERR. We're going to go ahead and hit the mode and on-off button again for 1 second, and release. And now we can see that the E01 alarm is present. If there was any other alarms at this time, you'd be able to scroll through and see all the ones that are currently alarming on this chiller. Obviously, I've only pulled one wire, so we're only alarming on one alarm right now. So at this point, I feel confident in being able to reset this unit. So what we can do to get out of this again is hit the mode on-off button for 2 seconds or a lot more, and then you should see error. We're going to do it again. Now we're back at the E41, which is the main display. When you hit the on-off button, I'm going to keep the wire out. I'm going to kind of show you what's going to happen. You hit the on-off button or the down arrow on the main controller, and the chiller is going to turn back on and try to run for roughly 10 seconds or more, even though we know it's going to refault because we didn't correct the issue. Okay, as you can see there, it has re-alarmed because we didn't reconnect the safety on this. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to create it where it's going to run for a second and try to prevent it from happening or create it where it's not going to alarm again. Now that we know that there's an issue, you're going to want to correct it. And I'm going to put the wire back in place so then I can show you how to reset this unit. Okay. With the safety back in place, if you hit the on-off button, the unit's going to go back into its state and it's not going to re-alarm. It's going to be happy and satisfied. At this point, we've been able to navigate through the controller, understand how to check for different alarms if there's more than one happening at the same time, and resetting or to be able to access the set point. If you have any more questions about how to navigate through an ECH211 controller, please call ACT at any time. Thank you.